Hi there, my name is Josh Staten, and this is the Listen to This podcast. We find, play, and review tracks that you have never heard before. Join bass player and I as we take you on a musical odyssey, one break, bridge, and bar at a time. All right, how's it going, everybody? This is the Listen to This podcast. Austin, how are we doing today?
I took a fat nap, and here we are. I'm ready to go. I got a glass of whatever juice this is. Some mixture of like orange pineapple cran.
Ooh, that sounds nice, man.
Whatever, but it's delicious. I'm drinking it.
Get you some vitamin C, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, man.
I think it's on the vertical diet. Shout out to St. Anthony.
Yeah. So, how's it going up there right now with everything going on? Is it everything opening back up?
Everything has the option to open back up.
But not everything has.
Not everything has. I don't know if that's because some of it has closed down, but there's just no government notice yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I know there's a few spots in Uptown that opened up, and there is a small cohort of people walking up and down McKinney Avenue. You know, more than the zero that were walking up and down the week prior. So, you know.
Hey, I went up to get my haircut yesterday, and there was a lot.
You didn't even say hi to me.
Yeah, well, I had to get it at 6 o'clock, and then I had to wait like 30 minutes, and then obviously I didn't want to drive home super late, so I was like,
whatever.
So, and I'll be back this weekend, man.
That's true.
But no, there was a ton of people walking around. I was shocked. I was like, this is crazy. I'm like,
yeah, we don't give a. Dude.
No.
I saw a Wall Street Journal thing. It's like people in Georgia are throwing caution to the wind. I was like, I think that's most of America.
That's all of millennials, honestly.
I was like, I think all of America would be not giving a fuck if they didn't have legal repercussions of doing so in some places.
But I'm not even just gonna blame the millennials though, because I went up to one of our local parks here to run, and legit, they were people having having kids baseball practice, and just people just sitting around at picnic tables, and like literally nobody was observing social distancing at all. Right. So it's just pretty funny. It's like you hear all this stuff in the media and from celebrities, and then you get out in public and see how people are really like actually reacting to this, and it's just like it doesn't match. But hey, I'm here for it. I think this whole thing has been blown out of proportion.
Yeah. Plus,
we've had enough economic damage at this point, so I'm ready to get back going to regular life and get back to what we were doing before. So, all right. So I've got some interesting tracks to play today.
Interesting, huh?
A lot of heavy tracks. A lot of simplicity too, I would say. I think a lot of the tracks I played in the past were a little bit more, I don't want to say complex, but there was certainly, I know you've mentioned on a couple of the songs that I had played where the producers were maybe doing a little bit too much. I think this episode is a little bit more conducive of simplicity. So I'm hoping that is a good thing. I'm just going to go and get into this first track. I've got a few things to say about it. And the genre of glitch hop in general. But I
haven't listened to glitch hop in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I think it's kind of, I don't want to say it's lost its popularity, because I don't think it ever was one of the more popular electronic genres. I think that it had its moment about 2010, 2012-ish period.
Yeah.
When glitch hop was around. It was... honestly, that was my favorite kind of period of music. That's really when I really started to discover a lot of different types of music, and I just love that Drink the Sea album, man. That's one of my top 5 albums still,
right,
of all time. It kind of showed me, because the dance music I'd been exposed to before, and obviously we want to separate electronic and dance because they're two separate things. But it showed me that you can make music on a computer that just wasn't danceable. You can make music that was listenable, and people have been doing that since the 90s, right? But that was the first time I think in my life that I had been exposed to that, and it was really cool to be living in that time around 2010 when obviously Skrillex was gaining popularity and a lot of stuff was going on. So we're just going to get into this track. This is going to be Modest with the song 2077.
It's the stone cold killer, dope goes the figure, developing an image with the face of the era. The vision is also cold but never clearer. Boil it down, we don't simmer, so I condense down the growth with the chiller. Yeah, when I don't blow smoke with no mirror, full feeling when it flow from the inner. We let it take hold, cause the fake so feeling the forbidden flows. Causing Armageddon, them with the
All right, so that was Modest 2077. What do you think of them apples?
I enjoyed it. It reminds me of a really heavy Chromatic song.
Yeah.
Chromatic makes electro soul. So, um, I was just listening to that last night with my brother,
Uh-huh.
um, because I might be DJing someone's wedding coming up,
Oh,
and
nice.
I was like, well, after all this settles down, and I was like, um, well, I'm trying. They're like, I want you to have your flavor, but also like don't anger the boomers in the room. And I was like, I think I got some. So I was listening to a lot of Grizz, a lot of Grammatic, a lot of the Floozies.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this actually reminded me just like it's a really heavy, as far as the drops are concerned, a really heavy electro soul. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, man,
Um,
go ahead.
no, I'm done. You're going.
No, it's brings me back to the days of Cohen Sound and Pretty Lights and a lot of that stuff back a decade ago.
God, the first verse reminded me of Foreign Beggars a
Oh
lot.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the intro into the first verse was like, "This is Foreign Beggars." Written all
absolutely,
over
man.
it.
And the thing I liked about that song the most is just, and I guess it's glitch hop in general, right? It's very dynamic.
Yeah,
It's not. There's not a whole. I mean, if you want consistency, you're not going to get a lot of consistency, obviously, with glitch hop. I personally like that. I like being thrown off and not expecting to hear. I mean, obviously, you want some semblance of consistency so you can kind of get used to a beat and get used to. But I think when you're surprised, I think there's something kind of profound with music when it can surprise you and kind of throw you off at certain points, but still get you um, to the point where, because I mean, I think the fundamental part of music, I think, is like you've mentioned before, is it's got to stay on beat, right? You like as a human, you want to be able to hear that consistent beat, but I think when you can throw in a little bit of offbeat stuff, and obviously glitch hop, with its stutters and its reverse pitches and all that sort of stuff.
well,
Um,
it did a really good job with syncopation in the second drop,
mhm.
whereas the first drop just had attacks that were delayed again, which it wasn't that egregious this time. To be fair,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of that has to do with I give it some credit just for being glitch hop. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean that's kind of what you're gonna get with
It's
glitch
like
hop.
UK garage in a lot of ways,
Yeah, yep,
and so
yep, I agree.
it's by design. It kind of throws caution to the wind, and I think there's a difference between throwing caution to the wind and just being bad. I don't think this was bad.
No, I think
Um,
there's a time and a place for it, and I think
yeah, no, like I was definitely into it. I would definitely use the second half of this song in a mix.
oh, the
Couldn't take
second
it back.
half's it's awesome. Like it kind
Oh, it's
of
filthy.
it's got a little bit of an electro flair to it.
Mhm.
I really personally like the break in the middle. I know there's a lot going on. Um, but I mean it's all produced really well and it's really interesting and it keeps you like engaged throughout the entire song. And I think that's when a lot of times throughout a song when you get a little bit bored is in a moment like that.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
really like that for a moment they used a change up in the snare pattern and put it on the 3 instead of the 1 and 2 for a
hmm
little bit. I would have kept going with that, and then used more of a marching snare to build back in the breakdown.
hmm
It's really the only major criticism I have,
no.
and it's fairly minor. It's just like something I would do instead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and if you think a song is perfect, then you're just not a creative
You're not
person. And
listening.
yeah, yeah,
You're not
yeah,
listening.
exactly. Exactly. So there's always things that can be made better, but I mean, that's, art, right? I mean, art's never
Pretty
perfect.
much.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't have whole lot more to say about it. I mean, I've got like a lot of notes here, but I mean, everybody's going to hear something a little bit different with that track. I mean, I love the fact that it sounded off starting a little bit cinematic. I thought that was interesting. And I think, when you have an intro that's kind of long, I think it's really important to, do something in that intro to kind of build that excitement and that anticipation. And I think that kind of choice of that cinematic type of sound kind of did that and got you kind of wondering where it was going to go. Um, and as I stated, I love the break, the drums in the break. Some of the drums that he used I thought were terrific. I don't know how I feel about the little random cowbell he used in the break. That was interesting.
Okay, I will tell you, I really appreciate the ooh sound from Minecraft. I very much appreciated that being thrown in.
I just that's why I love the genre, man. I love the fact that it's so versatile in the way that you can just, because I mean essentially the whole genre is built off glitch. So, and that's just basically manipulating and destroying sounds and just
It's kind of the synth version of breakbeat.
Yep.
That's how I see it.
Totally. So I think that's basically it for that song. Going into this next song here, I came across these guys a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of weird because it sounded a little bit like Odessa, and
Okay.
I found out later that it was a collaboration between them and Golden Features. I really like it because, I mean, and you can judge me for this, I actually really like Odessa. I hate their first album. I think it's garbage. But I think every album they put out has gotten progressively better, in my opinion. There's some songs off their latest album I don't particularly like too much, but I think overall it's got a theme. And I think anytime you're building an album as a producer, I think it's really difficult to create a good theme throughout an entire album, because generally, obviously, with most producers, you're looking to make songs that fit well in mixes and do that sort of thing. So it's really difficult to sit down and put together 12 songs that really fit cohesively well together on an album. But I think they really did that with their last album. Like I said, there's some songs I think are too popish. I don't particularly like too much, but I think overall, the reason why I enjoy it is because there's a really, really good theme and the concept is there. So I think it's an album you can kind of sit down and enjoy and be able to listen to. I contrast that with some of the other EDM albums that I've heard recently. There's one in particular. I don't know if you're familiar with the producer Griffin.
It doesn't ring a bell, no.
Yeah, well, it probably doesn't, because he's not, number one, not your style, and number two, he's pretty talented musically. He can play multiple instruments, but he tends to pander more for the mainstream. He makes songs that you could, put a pop singer top line on. But he released an album a couple years ago, and it was just, for me, it was really disjointed and didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I mean, what he did is and what a lot of electronic producers do is they'll release multiple singles, and then at the end of all those, they'll say, okay, let's release this as an album. And for me, I don't particularly like that too much. That's just my opinion. I like the idea of, if you want to make songs, just keep putting out content and material. But if you want to sit down and make an album, I feel like I've always appreciated when musicians make the album conceptual and have a whole idea and theme running through the entire album. So and that's the only way, honestly, that I'll go and sit down and listen to an entire album. I think one of the great examples of a concept album, just right off the top of my head, that I have is Linkin Park's fourth album, 1,000 Suns. That's got a consistent theme throughout the entire album. If you like nu metal and that's kind of the space that you came from, you're not going to like that album because it's completely different than what they had done in the past. But I've grown to appreciate it over time because of the theme and the concept. Every song builds on the one that came before, and it's something you could go and sit down and listen to in your room and be content for an hour and a half listening to that album. So I know I'm probably getting too deep in the weeds on that. So we'll just go ahead and play this song, and then we'll kind of get your thoughts after, Austin. So this is going to be Bronson with Vaults. All right, so that was Bronson with Vaults. Thoughts?
I really liked it. I'm laughing a little bit because my brother and I always make fun of financial firms for having names like Bronson and
Yeah.
Paddock or something. You know what I mean? So he said Bronson. I'm like, ah.
It is a weird name. I still feel like it doesn't really fit the music well, but I mean, I like they released.
Hey man, if it's a dude's name, it's a dude's name.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just reminds me of stuff like Stratton Oakmont from Wolf of Wall Street. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna mention the company I work for, but my company's a perfect example.
Actually, mine too.
Yep.
So
it's just always like two names. It's like always, you know.
See, I feel bad because my company technically has 3 founders, but only 2 names. And then there's like the runt of the litter that always gets forgotten in time.
The third guy got shafted, man. My God.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know the story. Maybe they got together and he's like, no, my last name sounds stupid. We'll just roll with yours.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been like, you know, a Polish name or something like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something crazy.
I will tell you, don't remember the third guy's last name though. Just saying.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, that was an enjoyable song for sure. I was thinking one of the better concept albums I've ever heard, Destroyed the Invasion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the few albums ever that I've listened to where I enjoy.
I might actually listen to that again later.
Oh my god, it's so good.
You got me wanting to listen to that again later. I mean that's again, like I know I kind of beat that like a dead horse, but that's the only time that I can listen to albums is when it's got a good and it doesn't have to be like a blatant concept.
No, but I mean that's the whole point of an album, right? If it's just a collection of songs you had laying around, no one gives. You know, how many times have like a pop star come out with an album and there's like 3 songs that are good because they were all singles that already came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you just got a bunch of other stuff that's just not.
And you got a bunch of other fillers just to have album sales to fill the charts. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Isn't that like every Migos album that was released though?
Yeah, but Migos, I'll give them credit for at least having a consistent sound and style.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this reminds me, not to get too far off track, but there was a video going around YouTube of this guy. I think he's a producer / rapper, whatever. He makes YouTube videos, and he did Quavo doing the national anthem. It's pretty funny.
It's really funny, actually.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't heard that yet,
wasn't there a petition for him to rewrite it?
There might have been.
I think there was.
Yeah, it's been circulating again. I don't know why. I don't know if it's been like stuff that I've been.
I think people are just that bored.
Yeah, but I just played it again, and I'm like, this is pretty great. I'm not gonna lie.
It is pretty fantastic. It's better than what's her face's rendition at the NBA All-Star game. Fergie?
Oh, was it Fergie? Why
yeah.
I thought it was Christina Aguilera for some reason.
It was not. It was Fergie.
Yeah, you're right. It was Fergie. But no, back to that. I want to clear up and clarify something too. I was thinking as I was playing that song. I don't want to say their first album was garbage. I think anytime you got to be careful with dubbing art as garbage. I think there's some music that just you could tell who made it wasn't even trying, and you can just
that's garbage. Yeah, when there's no effort.
I know there was a lot of effort put into that first album, so I take back my words when I say it was garbage. I would just say it's grossly. It doesn't match. It doesn't meet the expectations that were set on their follow-up albums.
Right.
So maybe that was my fault because obviously I heard their newer albums before I went back and listened to their old album. But I just wanted to clear that up because I don't think it's to the point of garbage. I just think in comparison.
But on the topic of effort, for as much as I have a problem with mumble rap, I will say that dudes like DaBaby be putting in that grind. Like they really do care.
Yeah.
Because if you see there were headlines about Billie Eilish wrote a whole song in its entirety during quarantine, and dudes like DaBaby have 22 songs in the Hot 100.
Yeah.
you got some catching up to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but I don't think it's necessarily that all mumble rappers are bad. I just think the ones that get notoriety and just recognized throughout the mainstream just are objectively bad, and it gives everybody else a bad rap. So
Yeah.
I think more so that's the problem. I'm not going to sit here and say that all mumble rappers are terrible. No, there's obviously guys that have a ton of talent. But I just think that the guys that typically that have kind of embraced that meme culture and are popular are just really objectively bad rappers. Like, they can't rap. So I think more so that's the concern than, the baby not getting the respect. I think that if you sit down and listen to music and, you evaluate these guys on a basis of listening to their music rather than, oh, this genre has been typically bad from what I've heard of it. So therefore the baby's a bad rapper as well. I think you have to give everybody a chance and just not cast something off because it's in, kind of the mumble rap genre.
Right.
But that's just kind of my thoughts on it. But no, I just thought that was really, really interesting track. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Odessa. I think they really put a lot of effort and work into their music. I actually was checking out a video that they did for Native Instruments on YouTube a little bit before we started this episode here. I think I'm going to go back and listen to, because apparently they used a lot of Native instrument tools on their last album, which I am really interested to see how they got an album to come out that good using a lot. And I'm not going to say they used all Native instrument tools, but like Contact, I can't believe that they got that out of some of the sounds that I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it, because I believe that it's maybe like 5% of the sounds I got from Native Instruments. It's just too good. Like, and the sounds are terrible. Native Instruments.
What you're saying is they're really good at their job.
Yeah. And if they did use Native Instruments, then hats off to them. Like, hats off. So that I really enjoyed that song. Moving into this next song here, I wanted to play a little bit different D&B, maybe a little bit more.
Fuck yeah, I'm down for D&B.
I guess traditional D&B, a little bit further away from kind of liquid drum and bass. I love all drum and bass, but I think that last song that I played, even though it had some trap influences, maybe leaned a little bit more towards kind of the liquid side of D&B,
right.
Where I think this is just plainly D&B. And as you could tell by the title, Wobble Board, I think you'll like some of the sounds in this song. So we're just going to go ahead and play it, and we'll get Austin's thoughts after. This is going to be Fred V with Wobble Board. All right, that is Fred V with Wobbleboard. All right, Austin, what were your thoughts?
Big fan. About a 9.5 out of 10. Me some good drum and bass, man. Oh my god, it makes me so happy.
Dude,
I
I
do get upset when old heads are like, it's not a British fest in 1997 when I first heard it when I was doing acid, therefore it's not good, and anyone who doesn't come to my club because they don't appreciate it in 2020 is dumb. I'm like, well, maybe it's because you can't actually dance the drum and bass. Well, sorry, that was a real hot take out of nowhere. But I really like drum and bass, and I wish more people got into it, and I think it's making something of a comeback.
it
At least in
is.
the festival scene.
It is for
and
sure.
rightfully so. It should be. I think it should always have been there. Just
Dude, there's
it sadly has to be not relegated,
yeah.
but it has to be stuck in festivals and festival culture because you literally can't play it in a nightclub or in a closed roof space of any kind. It just doesn't make any sense.
No.
Unless you're going to see a concert that's just 4 drum and bass producers.
Yeah. No,
then
but
it makes sense, right?
dude, and
but how often does that happen?
no, it's just not going to happen. And I want so badly for America to embrace drum and bass more. I'm like, it pains me to see it get so disrespected. Like over pretty much all the other electronic dance genres. I mean, it just does not. The scene just does not get the respect. I mean, it's huge over in the UK, and it just does not get the respect over here. And I'm just like, I don't know why it doesn't. I mean, it's the shows just have so much energy. Like, yeah, it's not danceable, but the energy that you get at those shows is just incredible. So it's just like, I just don't know, man. I'm just like, there's way too much melodic dubstep. There's way too much feature bass, and drum and bass just gets like cast aside. Like that's what should be playing at festivals. Like,
well, I do appreciate that other genres have taken drum and bass breakdowns and patterns and integrated them in. Trap was the first one to do it. Electro soul actually has a few instances of that going on. I know obviously dubstep picked it up immediately after trap did. There's probably some old head in Europe that's like, it was the other way around. Like, okay, calm down. But point is, it's being picked up in other areas, and I think that's going to do a lot of justice in helping it be back in the zeitgeist as far as festivals are concerned. Because remember when festival trap was a thing?
Yeah.
And that was like all that ever existed back in like 2012, 2013.
This is embarrassing, but one of my first forays into like mainstream dance music back 7 years ago was I was listening to those Carnage festival trap mixes on SoundCloud.
Carnage. What a guy.
It's embarrassing to say now, but yeah, that was my first foray of what festival trap was. Probably maybe the worst example, but
I mean, I don't think there's a good foray into festival trap.
Yeah.
To be fair,
that's fair. That's totally fair. But man, that's a memory, dude. That's a memory. Listening to those festival trap mixes.
Big memes.
Yep.
Gosh.
But no, I want to give Fred V a shout out. Him and I know he's did a lot of collaborations with Graphics. They make great drum and bass, whether they're making more traditional drum and bass or liquid drum and bass. The guy writes tremendous melodies. There's a couple other songs he's released recently that are liquid D&B and just have some of the best melodies. The dude could write music.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he's very versatile. One of the small little minute details that I actually really liked about that song was the fact that he started the intro with the piano and then he ended the song on a synth. I don't know why I like that. I just really did. I think it was really interesting. But it's just little minute details that I really appreciate. And I could definitely tell he puts in the effort into his music to make every song as perfect as it can be. Obviously, it's never going to be perfect, but so yeah, I mean, I just wanted to give Fred V and Graphics a little bit of a shout out there. Any other thoughts about that song that you want to speak your
No,
piece
not
now
really.
about? Okay.
Good times.
Okay. So now we're gonna jump into and hopefully I'm not wrong. I think Frankie Nuts is another UK artist. I'm pretty sure he is. Obviously,
What with Google for real quick. Hold on.
Obviously, he's on Flux Pavilion's label, so I would imagine he's a UK producer.
Yeah, he's on Circus, right?
Yeah.
Good question. Doesn't say. The Netherlands.
Okay, so I was wrong. I'm glad we fact checked that because I thought for sure he was from the UK, but anyways, this is going to be Frankie Nuts. I think the guy has really put out a lot of interesting stuff recently. He can largely be considered a dubstep producer, but the cool thing is he kind of takes that kind of traditional UK dub and mixing it in with some kind of newer elements, and he's kind of built his own sound, kind of going that route. I think a lot of his stuff is comparable to a lot of Flux Pavilion stuff and stuff that's been on Circus, but I think he's got his own distinct sound too. And I think there's a lot of elements that kind of harpen back to kind of older UK dubstep. You know, I hear a lot of subtle like Benga influences on a lot of his stuff. I don't know if you got into like that old, like decade old, like UK dubstep stuff, but I love going back and listening to a lot of that stuff. I think it's really interesting to just kind of see how dubstep kind of grew here in the States out of that. But no, I think he's got put out a lot of stuff. I thought this song would probably be the easiest to kind of mix into the songs that I was playing today. This song is called After Us, and it's featuring Jean-Tal. I think that's how you pronounce that. Is that right, Austin? Jean-Tal?
Yeah, seems right to me.
Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and play it. We'll talk about it after. This is going to be Frankie Nuts in After Us featuring Jean-Tal.
I'm lost again. I need you here to hold my hand. Stay with me, say that I was there. I need you to take me. You know that they call me after us. I need you to take me into your arms so I can hold on. So I can hold on.
All right, so that is After Us featuring Chantal, and that is Frankie Nuts. All right, Austin, what are your thoughts on that one?
I see what you mean when you harken back to Flux Pavilion.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
but I mean that's with a lot of his stuff on Circus. I mean, all of it kind of.
Circus is great. They put out a lot of great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nap time caught up with me. Hold on. Give me a second.
You're gonna be wide awake at 2:30, man.
Better fucking not be.
Yeah, you'll probably hit the hay like after this, sleep till like 12, and then just be like wide awake.
I'll probably go get some Taco Bell and then watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. Straight up, that's all I do these days.
Well, hopefully the gym's open soon, and
God, yeah. Place at my apartment's still not open.
I know that's partially why I didn't.
If yours is open, let me know.
I will be emailing them tomorrow to figure out if they're going to open because I'm paying good money for that gym not to be open. We literally have. I'm trying to think how many rooms that we have, but my apartment complex is smaller, so I'm like we don't have a ton of people in that complex. So, and half of them probably never have stepped foot in a gym anyway. So I'm like, I think we can go ahead and open.
Right. Fuck.
But I don't know, man. Hopefully soon. I'm like, it's people are getting out of shape. Thus, people are becoming more unhealthy. Thus, more at risk for COVID. So. I don't know.
I agree. That's 100% facts.
Yeah, so we'll see how that works out and how that goes. But so what were your thoughts other than the fact that it sounded like Flux Pavilion?
I really like the snare. Actually, that was the major element that stood out to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Anything where snares get layered, snares get. God, I can speak. I promise. Snares get layered, and they have sounds that actually complement each other. I'm a very big fan. Very happy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm a big fan of using percussion that's not just kick snare. Anyway, so anything that gives it a little extra spice, make it a little more spicy, definitely is a good time. And the flow is great. You know, in a lot of dubstep songs, you can get bored about halfway through, but that never happens here.
Yeah.
So
the one thing that I would say, and there was like a short, little, tiny moment where I got a little bit bored, and I totally concur with the percussion. That's one of the reasons that this song caught my attention right away. There was a moment at the beginning of the second verse, before the synth came in. That kind of brought down the energy a little bit too much for my liking. But I think that was really one of the only moments throughout the song where that happened. I also didn't know how I felt about kind of the muddled chants in the second drop. I don't know if those fit very well in that context.
I agree.
But other than that, I mean, I like I said, he's got a lot of songs to choose from. I mean, there's a lot of songs that, and this isn't even the one that I like the best that he's put out recently. But I thought it fit well. I can't speak now. I thought it fit well with these other songs I was playing on this episode, so that's why I chose this one. But yeah, another shout out to Frankie Nuts. I think he's put out a lot of great stuff. Did you hear that song he did with Jaws, like about beginning of the year, I think it was?
No, I haven't kept up with that.
Yeah, he did a song with Jaws, and it's actually really, really good.
It doesn't surprise me. Jaws is really, really good.
Yeah, but it's interesting because they kind of combine both their styles, so you get a little bit of taste of both of them.
I love it when that happens.
Yeah, so that's a song that maybe we'll have to play because it's really good. But man, this is the song I'm excited about here. I heard this song earlier last week, and I'm like, I can't wait for Austin to hear this one. Not very often do I get do I get goosebumps over a house track. It just doesn't happen. But this is filthy electro. pretty filthy. I'm not sure if you're going to love the production, but I think you're going to really like the energy that it brings. So, so I guess we'll just go ahead and play it. This is going to be Axon with N2V and Activation. All right, so that is Axon with N2V and Activation. What were your thoughts?
I know you were excited for this. I hate to be the guy.
No, it's fine, man.
The low end just could have been so much beefier. Instead, it just cranked up the volume on a buzz synth that just didn't need that kind of volume, in my opinion.
No,
And it kind of killed it for me. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I mean that's why I have you here, because I don't necessarily hear all those things.
I mean, it's hype. I can see how it gets people going. If it was played live, I probably wouldn't care. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
Well, so it's doing its. The song's doing its job, but just on a very nitty gritty level, there was not enough low end coming through my ears.
So, would you have gotten that feeling if the low end would be where you ideally think it should be?
Oh, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind.
Okay.
If you literally just turn the buzzsaw down and crank the bass line a little bit, golden.
Okay, well that's fair. I mean, I totally get that. And honestly, you know what? I heard that. I mean, I've been listening to this a few times this week, but this listen in particular, and I don't know if it's because I got everything going on, but yeah, I mean, I didn't hear that low end like I thought I did. And maybe, you know, it might have just been because when I heard it the first couple of times, I just cranked up the volume on my headphones and I just kind of ignored everything.
Which is fair. I do
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, so that might have been more so the case, but I could definitely understand with that perspective and what you're saying. But no, I mean, 4 out of 5 is good for me, man. I try to pick good songs every week, and sometimes it's hard because you got 2 different listening preferences, and obviously, as we build up more of an audience, you're going to have, you know, a lot of different listening preferences. So this is actually hard stuff. But no, I'm just glad I got 4 out of 5. So I think for the next episode that we're going to do, it's going to be based around IP in the music industry. So I think going into our next episode, Austin and I both are going to do some research. And I'm definitely going to try to pull some songs and some elements of songs that I think were copied. Like objectively, like you listening to it, you can hear that it's.
I already think of a couple, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then obviously, you know, Austin's knowledge of the music industry and intellectual property and everything that goes into that. I think we're going to try to put together something really good and something thought-provoking and worthwhile. It's an important conversation, I think, to have. So I think we're going to put a lot of effort into that. So that'll probably be the next episode. But yeah, I mean, keep tuning in. We've got plenty of songs. I think the next episode that we do that will be playing songs on. I think we'll have Austin pick some songs and maybe throw in some more Jersey Club flair. But no, any final?
For next week's episode, I'll tell you that much.
What's that?
Because I'm excited for next week's episode because I think it's only growing more important over time.
Oh, for
so, because like I've had streams on YouTube taken down for using copyrighted materials because I was live streaming myself working on music in FL Studio using sound packs I had gotten for free off of cymatics.com.
It's just
so.
I mean,
it's like, are you sure about that? Because I have the license to use them, and so does everybody else. like,
and I think that even maybe is just the fact that YouTube is jank in general.
YouTube's pretty fucking jank right now.
It's like, I mean, I didn't even check with my 3rd episode just because I was so used to getting, you know, copyright pegged. Yeah. So I didn't even look. I didn't even look to see if the 3rd episode was pegged for copyright. But I'm hoping this one. No, it probably will be because of that Bronson song. Yeah, it probably will be because of that.
Well, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get it going. Hopefully, please listen to us because the more people that listen to us, the better chance I have of getting a sponsorship. So. So please.
Hey, we're just keeping it a buck out here.
Yeah. So if it's friends, family, if it's that dude in France, just tell your friends of friends. We really need that sponsorship to keep going. So, but no, we'll keep doing this either way because I love sharing music and I love listening.
It's a ton of fun. And so much fun.
It's awesome. It's my favorite form of art. So yeah, we'll keep doing it. But yeah, that'll be an interesting conversation. That'll probably be the next episode. I don't know if we're going to release that on a separate day and still have our typical Friday uploads. That'll be something we'll have to think about. But that'll definitely be probably the next one to roll down the pipeline because it's something that I think we're both really excited about and really want to do. So I don't know. Any final thoughts, Austin, before we log off for this one?
No, I'm all good, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Fun as always. So everybody out there, continue to be safe and have a good weekend.